In both Vastu Shastra and Feng Shui, there's one common warning about bedrooms, and it's something millions of people ignore every day. When two ancient systems from completely different cultures agree on the same mistake, it's not superstition, it's awareness. In my conversation with Feng Shui Master Marie Diamond, this exact point came up, and it aligns almost word for word with what Vastu has always taught. In this conversation, we explore how ancient systems understood something modern psychology is only now beginning to acknowledge, that space affects consciousness. And you'll see how this shows up practically in bedrooms, in workspaces, in colour choices, even in things as everyday as the car you drive. Marie is widely known from the global documentary The Secret, which introduced millions to the power of mindset and intentional living through the law of attraction. I first connected with her through my mentor, Bob Proctor, and the work I did as a mindset coach for over 11 years with the Proctor Gallagher Institute. In Sanatan Dharma, this knowledge exists as a Vastu Shastra. In Chinese tradition, it is known as Feng Shui. Different cultures, same intelligence. If this kind of practical, awareness-based wisdom speaks to you, stay with me. The Feng Shui Queen. I'm privileged and excited to have her here with me. Marie, welcome.
Yes, welcome. I'm so happy to be here with you and so excited to be with you present in this YouTube channel.
Well, Marie, let me start off from the beginning. So I started to use some of your material, your techniques that you teach. And after watching a couple of your YouTube videos, I decided that I'm going to implement these. And to be honest, I'm actually hooked. And initially, I was a little skeptical. And but when I started to apply some of your techniques, I saw subtle changes, and then I started to see some big shifts happen as well. And I tell you, one of the things that I implemented that you mentioned in one of your videos is I moved my desk. So I'm sitting in my office right now, and my desk used to be over there. There's a window there, and you said in one of your videos that your desk should be in front of a door so that you can see clients or prospects coming in, and you've got to be facing a door. So that's what I did. So that's what I'm doing now. I can see the door. And so when I did that, I kid you not, my clientele increased. Yeah. And that's when I started saying to myself, you know what, I need to meet this woman. I need to speak to her at least. And first of all, just thank you for these little techniques, and they have really had a huge impact for me. So let's start from the beginning. For those people who don't really know what Feng Shui is, what is it, and why does it work, and how does it work?
Yeah. So Feng Shui is a Chinese energy system, and I'm sure some of you have heard of acupuncture or Qigong or Tai Chi, where it's all about moving the energy in your body. But the Chinese also understood that it was not just in your body, but that energy moves also around us where we live, in our home, but also in the landscape. And so they created something similar as acupuncture, but what we call Feng Shui. And Feng Shui means the flow of wind and water. So that's why they first looked at the landscape, like where do you position your home? Where do you position your home connected with the rivers and the mountains and the winds? Because let's put it this way, if you have a front door, and you open the front door and it's towards the north, and you're in a colder area of the world, then you have cold winds coming each time you open the door, right? Now, I can do that here in the south of France because it's warm everywhere, so it doesn't matter so much, right? But so they would open their door to make sure they could have warm winds, like southern winds or western winds, because it's warmer. And you have to think Feng Shui was first of all created like acupuncture and like Tai Chi to create more longevity, to create a longer life, because if you have a longer life, you could have children, and then your children and grandchildren will take care of you, because that's the Chinese tradition. And so it was not really focused on money or on success, but it was really on, how long can we stay healthy in the place where we live, right? And that's about 4,000 years ago that the shamans, from China would start looking into how it affects our chi, our energy level. And it's only like 2,500 years ago and then 1,500 years ago that, the emperors start using that. And for them, it was about being in power, by staying as long as possible alive, longevity, because then they have longer power, and also to be the strongest, the most successful, the most abundant. And that's when, they started looking at what are the that you can give or position yourself in the home. And that's exactly what you just shared about, is that the first rule is always sit in a power position. And so it's the location of where you sit in the space that will really affect your energy. And it's not just your energy, it's also your well-being, but it's also, it changes your brain waves. And so we have done tests on that, and it was really interesting. When you, for example, would sit with your back to the door and you would even see a beautiful view and you think, oh, that's gorgeous, right? That actually your brain waves would go into beta brain waves. And beta brain waves is a very spiky brain waves, and they're actually giving you less concentration. You are more in fear when you're facing away from the door. And when you change your desk direction, like what you did, just a very simple change, right? It's not like, it doesn't look like life-changing, but it is, because your brainwave is changing, and you go in what we call alpha brainwave. And alpha brainwave, that's where you find solutions. You're thinking more creatively, and also you have to create space. That's another part of Feng Shui, that there's more chi, there's more energy when you have space around you. So right now, if people come in, they can sit, if they want, on a chair across of you, right? Not that they're doing that, but you're actually saying there's space for clients to come in. And everybody will always tell when they start doing these little practices, there is an increase of money, an increase of success, increase of recognition, increase of well-being, increase of relationships, because you yourself, you're in the center of all this energy, are feeling better. And so it's really the law of attraction at work. So when I started really practicing Feng Shui, and I was at the time a lawyer for the Belgian government, and I was really practicing exactly just that little tip that I just gave you, right, to change your desk around. And so suddenly, people were not talking to me, they were not collaborating. It was just like really tough to be in that company. And I changed my desk around, and suddenly, people noticed me. I had like more recognition, and within 6 months, I actually had to replace the manager. It was really interesting. So people sometimes see like new opportunities, new careers, new promotions coming to them, because finally you're seen, right? But it's also myself, I was in a better place. And so I just practiced first very simple techniques for many years, from like my 15 till my 25, till my 30, actually. I practiced some very simple things. And then, I really understood, like, my God, this is so really great, because I was like on a roller coaster of success. It was like everything went smooth and easy, because I was in a good flow. And then I really started studying Feng Shui in Malaysia with a grandmaster. And then he explained us that there's 3 parts of good luck. 3 parts of what they call the law of attraction. For some people that have known about the law of attraction and The Secret, why I'm one of the featured teachers in it, was that there's 3 parts of it. And so the first part is, you need to connect in with the source. And that can be God, the universe, or your higher self, or the creative force in you. That is what we call your spiritual luck. And you need to do that daily, right? You need to reconnect every time, right? And you can do that through meditation, to prayers, to visualization, through, being creative. But that's kind of your creative force that you use. The second part is your human luck. And your human luck is really about how do you think? Yeah. What is in your mind all the time? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it bringing you down? Is it lifting you up? How do you feel in your heart? Do you feel grateful, or do you feel you're moaning all the time? You're always upset about everything. That influences your attraction. And also what you do. You need to take, and law of attraction is a word called action. So you need to take every day some steps towards what you really want to manifest. So that is 2/3. So together, that is, a lot of people use that, but then they're feeling they're kind of hitting a ceiling with the law of attraction. They're hitting a ceiling with positive mindset, with their meditations, with their visualizations, because they're missing out to the last part of the law of attraction, and that is your environment. We call that the earth luck. So where are you? What's your position in that home? What is around you? I mean, you have to think about your home is like a 3-dimensional vision board. And I love what I see, by the way, behind you, right? So because I see an Oscar, I see beautiful pictures, I think, wonderful books. I see, when I look at that, there is something pleasant to look at. Yeah. And so you have to think everything around you. So each time you come to your space, you're like, oh, there's some good energy there. So whatever you are, or wherever you are, it needs to relate. So you cannot put like business things in your bedroom. In your bedroom, it should be about romance, right? In the living room, it shouldn't be about romance. It should be about your family and your friends and having social life, right? So every space has its own unique aspect. And so I just want you to start thinking, that's a very simple aspect. Go around your house and see if it's relating with what you desire in life.
Fantastic. Wow, you've shared so much information just in that one question. That brings me on to something that you help people with, and that's finding out your success number. Does everybody have a success number?
Yes. So in order to really start doing a little bit more personal Feng Shui, you need to find out what we call first your energy number. And so your energy number is to know how are you need to be locating and directing yourself with the energy of the house or the energy of your office. And so based on your energy number, and that is a calculation that needs to be done, and it's connect with your birth gender. So unfortunately, the Chinese did not have another solution, right? It was male or female. But I always say it needs to be connect with your birth gender because it's connected with your DNA. Yeah. So the chi flows according to your DNA for Feng Shui. So even if later on you choose another gender, that is fine. But in Feng Shui, it still remains the original one, just to find out your chi. Yeah, that's how it works. And so then you also put in your birthday, your full birthday, and it does a calculation. And then you get an energy number between 1 and 9. And based on that, there are 4 compass directions that really affect you. And there are 4 that are not so good for you. Yeah. So but the first one is your success direction. And success is about career and money and recognition. And so what you do, and you can do that with getting the free app, when you click on that, you will actually get a, what I call a little, I'm just going to go to it for a moment. So you will get a little compass. Yeah. Okay. See a little compass here. Yeah. Okay. And so it will indicate your 4 directions. And so you will just hold the compass actually on your in your hand in the center of a room, like the center of your office, center of your bedroom, the center of your living room, and it will indicate where's your success. Success is like the blue one. Yeah. And so you hold that and you're like, oh, that's my success direction. Yeah. Then the first thing you do is, what is there right now? Is there a garbage bin? Well, your success goes in the garbage, right? Is a paper shredder? My God, that's even worse, right? So you're shredding the energy. So whatever is there, images, statues, books, must relate with your success of your life. So in your bedroom, that is different success than in your office, or in your living room, right? So here, in my success direction, I have, some of my important clients, I have my products, I have my business cards, I have, a globe, I have some aspects that I really love when I look at it. So you need to really activate your success direction. But the first part is look at it first, like what is there right now, right? Because whatever is there right now has been influencing your success and money, and you're suddenly like, oh my God, now I understand. Like 1/3, of my results, that's what it is, has been affected by what is there. So you're like, wow, this is not easy. So I don't know if you experienced that yourself, Alpa.
I have. And you know what? You spoke about the globe. So I've got a globe on my desk. I don't know if that's the right place to have it, but it's blue because my color, my success color is blue. And I would never have chosen blue, but I love royal blue now because my favorite color has always been yellow. So I used to wear a lot of yellow.
What is your energy number, if I may ask?
It's 8.
It's 8. Yeah. Okay. Like me.
Yeah. So I've got a lot of blue things on my desk. I've got this blue sand timer as well.
Yeah.
And then my success area is what I'm sitting in at the moment. So like you've said, I've put on a lot of things that I would like to achieve as well. I've got my vision board here. And actually your photo is on here as well, would you believe? So, it does work. And, I also love crystals. So I use a lot of crystals as well. So I'm learning about that and energy. And I find it fascinating. I really do. So thank you for sharing that part. And like I said to you, I'm really into this. And it's not like I never heard about Feng Shui before. I have heard about it, but I guess I didn't know enough about it to apply it in my own business life and personal life. But would you say Feng Shui is something everybody should embrace?
Yeah. Well, that's what when I really started using Feng Shui, right? I'm a lawyer, right? So I'm not really I'm very analytic, but, I just really was encouraged by my spiritual mentor I had at 15 to start doing that. And because some things were going really bad for me at that time. And he said, use some basic Feng Shui. And I did. And suddenly, my life started shifting. And I knew it was only the thing I did was shifting some things, hanging different images. And so from that moment on, I was like, oh my God, everyone should know that. And then when I became a Feng Shui expert and later on a Feng Shui master, and a lot of people that study Feng Shui, they kind of stay in the Feng Shui world, but I made a bridge. I made a bridge to bring it into the self-help, into the secret, into the law of attraction. And now more than 1 million people online have studied with me. And so it is because it works for everyone, right? If that is for the rich and the wealthy, right, that, pay me very substantial for helping them. And that has been always part of the rich and the wealthy. So the Chinese, the emperors would use that. And in the 16th, 17th century, the kings and the queens in Europe started using it because there was already a connection with China through the silk trade. And so then it kind of disappeared a little bit again from the European area. And then it kind of came back in the 1980s. And so when I started really knowing that in the early 90s, I was like, my God, this is such an easy thing to change. And so for me, it's like, my mission is to reach more than 500 million people. And of course, with the secret, I have done that already, but really to make sure that, these little small changes, we are all the queen and the king and the emperor in our own home. We don't need to, all the secrets don't have to just stay with the rich and wealthy. I mean, everybody should know that, all the small little things, and it's so practical. That's the fun part of it. I made it very practical. So you don't have to study all the deep knowledge of Feng Shui. I made it very, I'm a lawyer from background, very analytic, do the steps, take this. And then people are like, oh my God, this is so easy and so fun. And then you get hooked on it. It's very viral. People start playing with it, and then the kids play with it and their family, and because it really makes a big shift. And it's not because something has been kept for thousands of years secret, to the rich and wealthy, that not everybody should know this information.
Yeah, and you're right. I think you can make so much, you can have so much from doing this, and just making small tweaks. It doesn't have to cost the earth. It's
Yeah.
just little tweaks that you need to make to see the shift in energy. And I think that's the beauty of this. And talking of that, so I'm currently redecorating my bedroom, and I'm completely feng shuiing it out because I'm so into this now. And I've often heard that we shouldn't have mirrors opposite the bed. So I've made sure that the wardrobe that I've had fitted doesn't have any mirrors.
Good.
But why is that? Why should we
Yeah.
not be placing a mirror?
Yeah. So, well, what mirrors do, they double the energy, right? So if you're single in a bed, well, the mirror will say, I double you, right? So you're already like, you used to say, well, I will attract somebody else. No, you attract yourself. So it's like you're having more of you, but not somebody else. If you are with two people already in the bedroom, you're actually doubling the couple. So there's more people coming into play in the relationship, but it's also doubling your body, right? And so if you're coming to bed at night stressed, that stress is doubled. Yeah. So what they have seen in the Chinese universities, that when people have mirrors, that they are gaining easier weight. Yeah, it's harder to lose the weight. They have a higher blood pressure. They have more white blood cells, so more inflammation. So they have done some testing with that. And because the mirror always doubles whatever it sees, so that's why in a bedroom, you don't want more the doubling energy of your loneliness or the couple. So any mirror that is reflecting you in front of you, on the side, even sometimes people say, oh, so above my bed, I can do it. No, because when you come in, you see yourself walking in alone or walking in with two people, not on the ceiling. That's only in certain occasions, perhaps that could be interesting. but let's say a normal bedroom, not. Yeah. And so what you do, it becomes immediately much calmer in the bed, right? You will sleep better. And so cover it, put a screen in front of it or a curtain, or even televisions can actually, when they are doubling, the energy, because they have, if they're not a matte screen, but they have like a reflective screen, they're acting as a mirror. And so people always, first of all, they sleep so much better, they attract better romance, they have better communication with their spouse, or their wife or their partner. So it's really a major thing. Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Now, also, I know colors are really important in feng shui as well. So is the color black then seen as inauspicious? Because I know a lot of cultures have this where, especially in the Indian culture, like you wouldn't wear black at a wedding or any kind of happy occasion. I mean, people's mindsets are changing now, but still there's a lot of people who would not wear black. So is that inauspicious in feng shui as well?
No, it's really, you have to think about the yin and yang symbol. Yeah. So there's white and there's black, right? So the black means you are more passive, more inactive when you need to go in yourself. So that's why a lot of monks and sisters in monasteries will wear black. Yeah, because it's their time to go in. Yeah. So it has its space for sure, right? Because it's part of nature, right? But if, for example, you see sometimes in busy cities, like in the city in London or Wall Street, that a lot of people will wear black because the energy is too intense. Yeah. So they're so busy that in order to survive, they have to go into wearing black. Yeah. To kind of calm the energy a little bit down. Yeah. So, and then of course, when you go to a wedding, what happens is this is about going out, is making yourself visible. So then you will go for the white. When you're using the black, then you were like, okay, I go more inwards. So you can have black things around you, like furniture and all this. You can wear something black, but always spice it up with some colors. Yeah. Because there are colors that connect in with your energy number. There are colors that really work for success and health and relationship and wisdom. So I would say to people, you can wear black, but don't wear black around the heart. Yeah.
Right.
So, for example, if you have a black suit or a black dress, okay, but then do a shawl or do a tie that is a different color, so that the heart is always feeling colorful. Yeah.
Right.
So that makes a big difference just for your energy.
Okay. Wow, that's a point to note. So since we'll stick with colours, because this is more for me rather than the viewers, but I'm sure viewers will want to know the answer to this as well. Let me ask you something about the colour of cars. Now, I love my cars. I have done from a very young age, and I've been privileged enough to drive some really nice sports cars. But I've always gone for black, silver, or grey in colour, which seem to be the popular ones. Which colour then is seen as good for a car, or is it again all to do with your energy and your energy number?
Yeah, it's really to do with your energy number. And let's say some people that love to drive a long time and they feel very relaxed when they're driving. Hey, then the black car, that's kind of their time off. That is okay, right? As you have energy number 8, like you have the same as me, then I always suggest to work for like white or gray or golden cars. So I always chose golden cars or kind of metallic cars. Because that resonates more with your energy number. Yeah. The car I would try to avoid is red. Yeah. Because there have been many studies in insurance that when people have a red car, that the other people that are driving are more disturbed by it and make bigger mistakes when you towards the red cars. Not that you cannot drive the red car, but the others around you. But let's say if you have a Ferrari, hey, you want to have a red Ferrari. I mean, but you're not driving it all the time anyhow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how you mentioned that about the red, because my dad, not that he understands anything about Feng Shui, but he avoids red cars because he's had accidents in them, and one was a really bad one. So he will never buy a red car. It's funny how you just touched on that. So if somebody,
it's really important to think about that, right? Because especially when you sit a lot in your car, you drive a lot in the car is an extension of your aura fields. So do you want red in your aura field, or you want something more calming and more nice? Yeah.
Wow. So fascinating. I love it. So if somebody watching right now is new to Feng Shui and they want to try it out, and they're interested by what we're chatting about right now, what would you recommend them to do first to start off?
Well, I first would like you to become aware of your environment. Yeah. I would love for you to walk inside your home, like look at your entrance, because your entrance is what we call the mouth of chi. So all the universal energy comes in, people come in through your entrance. What does it look like? Yeah. Are there shoes on the ground? Are there coats hanging? Or there are some boxes from delivery hanging out there? So remove that or cover it, because you want to think, this is the entrance to my palace. Yeah. And I'm sure if you would come into the entrance of the Palace of Buckingham, then you would not see the shoes of the Queen on the ground. Let's put it this way, right? So, you need something pleasant, the beautiful flowers. It can be fake, but something lush, something blooming, a beautiful picture of your family to tell the universe, hey, this is the house of this couple or this family. If you like some candles or a beautiful crystals, something when you come in, and it's first of all for you that you come in like, I feel at home. Yeah, that feeling is so important, because we come out of the stressful world and we need to come to a place where we feel home. And the word home has the word in it, O-M. And that is actually the highest sound of the universe. So when we come home, we need to relate and connect in with ourselves, really with our heart and our spirit. So that's the first thing I would like you to check. And then one of the other things I suggest is look at what is around you, like in the bedroom. What hangs above your headboard? Yeah. Is it a single lady and you want romance? Then put 2 beautiful hearts. Yeah. You come in the living room and you see images of your family and you're thinking, well, I don't really like this family. Then, don't put them out there. Or you have pictures of your children, right? But the children are now grown up. They're like teenagers and they're still the ones for the baby pictures. Yeah. Right. So think about, whatever is there, is that current to where I am right now in my life. Yeah.
Right.
And so, and we already mentioned in the Feng Shui to try to always see the door. So please position yourself like in your office, turn your desk, see the door. Yeah. In the sofa, make sure when somebody comes in from the hallway that you see people coming in, so that people don't first see the television as the
Yeah.
main spot, but they see you as the first welcoming energy. Um, Another part that I really always suggest to people is create space. Yeah, because Feng Shui is about uplifting the energy of the space, but sometimes the space around you is just too crowded. Yeah, so open your cabinets, your drawers, look at what's on your nightstand, what's on your desk, what's on your dining room table, like your coffee table. Perhaps there's just a lot of stuff that is not needed. Always remember one thing: less is more, and less will create more money. Yeah. So
Excellent.
because we want always to overwhelm ourselves, but you have to think that everything that is there is giving you a subconscious message to your mind. You're not aware of it, but it's actually happening 24 hours a day. Everything you see, and you're thinking, well, I don't see that. Yes, you see it. Your brain registers it. Yeah. So less gives you more space to breathe, gives you more space to receive money, to receive gifts, to receive wonderful things. So that's why I always suggest to people, let go of at least 10% of whatever you have. Yeah, books, what's in your papers, even on your phone, on your computer, items you can delete. Just, let go of things. And if you can let go of 25%, that is even better. And then use what you want to let go of and give it away. Give it to friends, to Goodwill, to thrift stores. Make some money on it, on vintage apps. You
Yeah.
can actually make money by just starting to declutter.
Yeah.
And then you take that money to study perhaps a little bit more about Feng Shui, or to buy some new little things that your heart sings with. So, but just let go of things, and as you're giving it away for a good cause, good energy will come back to you.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. What would you say then is the biggest misconceptions of Feng Shui in your opinion?
Well, I think a lot of people are in Feng Shui, they're thinking, oh, I need to get all these little things like a money frog, and I need to have these little items, and it needs to look like a Chinese temple. Yeah. No, you can actually use what you have.
Okay.
And so you can actually, there's so much stuff already around you. Yeah. You can print images out. You can put candles out. You can, just the colors that I will say, this is a good color for that, or this is a good color. Just look in your cabinets what you have. And so you don't have to really buy a lot of things to do your Feng Shui. Yeah. That is like the only thing I sometimes suggest: buy a fountain. Yeah, because a fountain can create some more cash flow, and then depending which year it is, you will put it a certain direction. But that's like the only thing I really in the beginning sometimes would buy. It's just more about repositioning yourself, looking at the image, like that image, it doesn't work for me. And then make a list. I always do that, like make a list of things you really want to have. And then when it's your birthday or when it's Christmas, tell your family and your friends, hey, I'm looking for this and this and this. Or just send the list out to friends and say, hey, I'm looking for this. Do you have that? You don't use it anymore. Can we exchange for something? And so we have so much abundance already around us, so we can just start playing with that. So the misconception is definitely, you don't have to make it a Feng Shui temple. It needs to stay your home, what you love, what you like. Yeah. It doesn't have to be complex.
Okay, and it doesn't have to be expensive either.
And not.
Now, Marie, you work with some great big Hollywood celebrities as well. You've worked with personal growth gurus, you've worked with business tycoons, and you're feng shuiing themselves to success. Who would you say then is the most, I don't know, interesting or challenging person that you've worked with?
Oh, I don't know if it's challenging, but I think one of my latest clients that I think was most interesting for me was one of the top hip hop stars in the world, Big Sean.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and so um, that was like, that came out of the blue, and it actually happened because of my feng shui and the feng shui of my son. So, you know, he had him and Sean on Big Sean on his vision board, and kind of cut out a picture and kind of put it together, put it in his success direction. And I wanted to help my son, as he's a hip hop producer, an artist, to like attract people from that area. So I put on my vision board that I was ready to help and support one of the top 5 you know, hip hop artists. And so within a few weeks, I got this message from the mother, actually, of the hip hop artist that has been following me for years, and I had no idea, right?
Yeah,
I
wow.
done my meditations, I did some of my little steps, and so she's like, you know, he really could use some help, you know, launching a new album, and so I was invited to do the whole house and the whole office and the whole, you know, studio, and then seeing somebody who is so successful already, like multiple #1 billboards, you know, multiple you know, platinum, and to see that somebody like this is doing so every step that he can, right? All the colors and all the things. And there's a beautiful video on uh, Architecture Digest of Big Sean, his house. He shows the house, and there you see all. It's very interesting. You see my whole feng shui, because he shows the vision board and he shows all the colors, and people that do my work recognize everything. And then from there, to be able to mentor him on the spiritual journey and his energy, that was, I would say, the most surprising artist for me.
Wow, amazing. And I know you've worked with Steven Spielberg, you've worked with Rolling Stones, is that right? So you've worked with some great people as well. Look, Marie, it's been amazing. It's been amazing speaking with you. And what would you say is your biggest joy, finally, from mastering the art of Feng Shui? What is your biggest joy with
Well,
it?
I think my biggest joy is seeing the shifts in people's life, right? So like when you said like, hey, I increased my clients, and people say, hey, I found love, and seeing like, I do this now for 26 years, you know, how many marriages that have come, and people said, hey, I found my love, I got married, I couldn't get pregnant, now I have children, you know, my business was going down, now I'm thriving. So seeing the results of it, you know, and I think the other part for me is sharing. My biggest joy is teaching this information and sharing it to people that are new to it. And then just, you know, I always say, give it a try. You know, it doesn't cost you anything to change your desk around, right? Or to declutter, you know, it's always good to declutter. So it doesn't cost you anything to start with this. And so give it a try and see how you feel, what changes in your life. And I think that's the greatest joy, just sharing it with people.
Thank you so much, Marie. It's been a pleasure having you here. And I hope you enjoyed this exclusive conversation with Marie Diamond. You know, I could go on for another hour with you, Marie, but I know time is of the essence. I really enjoyed this conversation and having you share your expertise and your techniques about Feng Shui here with me. Any final words for people who are watching this right now?
Well, I would say, you know, Feng Shui is 1/3 of your good luck. Yeah. And so perhaps you have been feeling stuck. You have felt like things are just not moving. Well, why don't you, you know, look at your home and see if you can change something with some of the practical steps I've given you, or check my app, and you just click it, put in Marie Diamond, and you'll find it. And also go to the YouTube channel. There's so much hours of amazing information. And follow me on Instagram, Marie Diamond 8, as 8 is a lucky Feng Shui number. And there's a lot of beautiful videos that show up on Instagram every week to give you some extra little tips and steps. So thank you so much, Alpa, for the work you're doing and bringing all your greatness to the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marie.